never find the chat after I share screen. Oh, here it is. Okay. Hi, YouTube. If anyone is watching, this is the DuckDB book club. We're going over chapter 5 today. We don't have a sort of official presentation or a formal presentation, so it's going to be a little bit more of a discussion of the chapter. And I think this chapter lends itself to that. It's, I think, less heavy on the sort of the syntax and the logic, and I think a little bit more kind of conceptual. So I think that's probably for the best. And so yeah, so I don't know. So I have pulled up. I wonder. I guess I've only shared the book chapter, but and I have a few kind of interesting web pages pulled up as well. And then to the side, I have the DuckDB UI in case we need to. I ran all the queries from the book chapter in case we want to look at any of them further. So that's kind of my rough plan, and I thought we would just, kind of go through it. So like the chapter, in general is about ingesting data, ingesting CSV, JSON, and Parquet and Excel, which, yeah, some of everyone's favorite format. And in particular, I think it's mostly about ingesting data when you want to explore the characteristics of a data set that you're not familiar with. You don't necessarily want to load the entire data set if you aren't kind of sure about its contents. You don't know, the data types or whatever. To a lesser extent, I think the chapter is also about like converting between data types and maybe like more efficient ways to do that without necessarily having to load a whole CSV file into memory and then write that out as a Parquet or whatever. I hope I'm saying it right. I think it's Parquet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder. I thought maybe we could start with like some general experience. Has anyone like kind of played with like the DuckDB CSV reader? And do you have any like thoughts about how you would compare it to, whatever other CSV reader maybe you more commonly use? So like, the readr CSV reader or the whatever, the data table CSV reader or the pandas one. If does anyone have any feelings about that general question?
So the big one that stuck out to me was the very common pattern of I have a directory full of CSVs that I want to
Yeah,
read all of them. It's like the classic example for pers map over read CSV.
right. Yeah.
It just reads the entire directory. And what I didn't play with was what happens when that's not consistent, but I'm guessing it's the standard like non-consistent error.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I actually didn't know about that feature. I don't know. I was having an internal debate about my feelings about this because on some level I thought like I almost felt like that pattern was like too succinct, like I kind of like that in dplyr or I guess tidyverse you have to specify that you're iterating over all the files in the folder.
Yeah,
But
if
it
you're
is,
reading the source of this and it just says like read CSV with a star in there, you don't know if there's one or many.
yeah, right, yeah,
And I guess in a map, you don't necessarily know if there's one or many, but
that's
it's
true.
at least giving you the idea that you
Yeah,
think there's more
there
than
might
one.
be many. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with that. And yeah, but it is. I mean, it's very convenient, and it's something that you have to do all the time. I pulled up there's I don't know. They have a lot of material about reading CSVs because it is, it seems like it always feels like it should be easy, but it's always hard. They're definitely right about that. So let's see. I just want the function documentation. I wonder. Oh, here we go. Um, and I had pulled up also this blog post that I saw from Mother Deck a while ago that was about kind of handling like especially problematic CSV files
Cory,
in.
could you share the link in the
Oh
chat?
yeah, yes. So let's see. So
Thank you.
here's the. I'll grab that. So here's this is just the CSV reader documentation, and then here is this blog post that I thought was pretty helpful actually about kind of like maybe more advanced methods for kind of wrangling CSVs, as they say. But yeah, I mean, there's some things that I have wondered about too. Like I think the last time I tried to use the DuckDB CSV reader, I think you had to specify if you wanted to specify types, you had to specify the types of every column. I think, like if you wanted to pre-specify how you wanted the reader to interpret the column, I think you had to do it for every column, which I remember I thought was pretty annoying. So like like I think in tidyverse or whatever, you can specify the type for one column, I think, without having to articulate the types for all the other ones.
Can you? I thought you
Maybe you
still had
can't.
to do all of them.
No, I
I
could
think
be
you could
wrong
do
about
a
that.
shorthand for them, like you could do a C for character, but I think you still
Yeah.
had to do all of them.
Yeah, that's possible. Maybe I'm misremembering. But I just remember having some annoyance about that. But yeah, you might be right. Maybe in the tidyverse, if you want to specify one type, you have to specify all. So maybe that's not a big deal. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's some cool, like I know in the chapter, they flagged this file name argument, which adds, like, if you're using this pattern where you're putting an asterisk on the end as like a wildcard on the end of your file path, you can add this file name argument and it will add a new column that specifies which file the row came from, which I think is pretty cool.
That's also a pretty common use
Yeah.
case for the map with index, IMAP, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I I definitely didn't know how to do that off the top of my head in Tidyverse, but okay, yep, that makes sense. I'm gonna take a note about that actually. Um, yeah, and I don't. My general experience, I would say, with using this reader is that it's like a little pickier than the maybe readers that I'm more familiar with. Like I think like I've sometimes had errors where like it will get upset about the encoding, where maybe like a reader or whatever, reader wouldn't get upset about the encoding. But sometimes those, I think sometimes those errors I'm glad that it throws those errors. Like I'd rather know right away if there's some kind of weird problem than, quite deep into a analysis. And I guess you can do ignore errors, I think, to kind of make it a little less strict. But yeah, I think in general it's like a little. I think and I don't know, I could be wrong about this. I think the philosophy of like readar or something like that is like they really want to get the data into memory. Like they'll kind of do whatever they can, make whatever kind of simplifications they can to get the data into memory without you having to specify a lot of arguments. I think here, you have more control, but it's not going to let you get a CSV into your environment if it's a bad CSV that you need to troubleshoot a little bit. That's kind of my general feeling about it, but I don't know.
The number that surprised me was the number that it uses to do inference. So I think reader uses like the first 1,000 rows, and I might be wrong on that.
Okay, yeah,
This one uses the first 20,000,
yeah,
which
it's a
unless you're
lot
actually
more.
working with real data, your data is probably less than 20,000 rows, so you're definitely reading all of it in first. Yeah, sample size.
Here we go. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you need to check a lot of rows to really figure out, is there something that isn't what it looks like or has a whole bunch of missingness at the start.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've definitely had data that is, has had weird stuff in, row 10,000 that doesn't, like And I guess I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I've never personally had an experience where I felt like the default sample size in another reader kind of like misled me, like where I felt like, oh, like it thought this was an integer, but actually it should be a string because there's lots of, you know, some IDs have a at the end or something like that. Like, so, I don't think I've ever had that experience, but I can see that happening. I guess the bigger the better. Um, yeah. Okay, so I don't want to dwell too much on that if unless anyone else wants to opine on sort of the CSV parsing experience.
The only thing that I wanted to comment, and I think it was before this,
Oh,
was the very odd statement of using DU as they called it file browsing program, which
oh yeah, I remember that. I thought it was
that
like down,
stuck.
down. Oh, sorry. Here, I'll do a little search. It's like, there we go. Yep. So I actually don't know what that utility is. This is the first time I had encountered it. What is it? What is
I've used
its
this all the time. I think it's disk usage. This just shows you like how big are the files,
Oh,
and the
huh.
-H just
Interesting.
says make it human readable. But
Interesting.
I don't consider that as a file browsing program. This is reporting file sizes.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's strange.
I just thought it was an odd statement
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
it was written.
Yeah, I'm definitely not compelled to adopt it. But yeah, it would be helpful. Like when you use it, you're using it to check file sizes, I guess.
I
Is
use
that
it to get like how big is a directory. So you can
I
pass
see. Okay.
a -S for summarize to get what is the total number of like bytes in this directory.
Okay. That's helpful. Here, I'm gonna scroll back up now. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of scrolling. I feel like that's probably not uh that easy to follow. Let's see, I'll go back up here to the JSON stuff. Okay, so yeah, I would say we're done with CSV. Um, yeah, so the next section is about ingesting JSON, which and nobody likes. I don't know, you know, who's using who's the defender of JSON in this world. I don't know, but
Anyone who's retrieving from a web API.
oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because then I guess then you're just calling the nest. You just call each. Uh,
Also using AI, you have to get used to JSON
oh, okay.
or
Is
Markdown,
that
one of the
okay?
two.
Is
Yep,
that the format that the
yep.
like the MCP? Okay,
That's
all
the
right.
format that the large language models understand, and the results are presented. Yep,
Well,
yep.
I hate
So
JSON.
you have to get used to it
Yeah,
because
yeah, it's every, yeah, it's every.
it's going to stick for a while.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's I guess it's not so bad. And I think the experience here is not so bad either. I think the sort of JSON experience. Um,
I think that's probably because this is tabular data that will rectangle nicely, and like all of my hatred of JSON comes from things that
right.
aren't
Okay.
nicely rectangular or are deeply nested, which just won't fit this model. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think the hatred will apply here.
that's a good point. Um, and I did have like a threshold question. I was trying to figure out how, like, just in terms of data types, how kind of DuckDB is interpreting JSON. So is it that every sort of like list? I mean, I don't know. That's how I think of JSON as like nested lists. I don't know if that's accurate. Um, but but basically every list is a struct. Is that right in DuckDB? That's kind of my interpretation of this. And so then it just, every layer of the list is another layer of the struct. Uh, but I had some doubt about that. And I don't know, maybe I'll go to their documentation again. Let's see. Hmm. And it might not be worth dwelling on too much, but oh, this looks up. All right, wait. So
Yeah, I just posted
I'll open this up.
an article about JSON, nested JSONs, and what is the structure.
Let's see. Oops.
Yeah, there's an example a little bit below. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I kind of think of this, and maybe this is
If you
just
have worked
my,
in Python, for example, with
yeah,
dictionaries,
yeah,
you are familiar with
yeah,
JSON structure. It's the
yeah,
key value,
yeah.
a pair.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of my R bias a little bit, is like I do think of this as like a list of like uh you know this is a list, and this is a list, and this is a list. Yeah. So but
Exactly.
yeah, I guess dictionary makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From R, it's going to be kind of, something mysterious or wild. But if you
Yeah.
go
Still
from
just name
Python, from
list.
dictionaries, then, you see the association of the key value
Yeah.
pair. Yeah.
I've
Nested
seen
named
oh
list in R.
okay.
Yeah, but still, the list is not compatible with the dictionary. And I know because, when I try to read pickle files from Python to R, it just gets crazy. That
Mm,
list just is really crazy. It's like a
mhm.
nested list,
Yeah.
okay? But then it starts repeating a lot of things that are not supposed to be repeated. So sometimes it's weird.
And
But yeah,
one thing I've oh,
dictionaries are key value pairs.
yeah.
That's basically it. And JSON, uses that paradigm.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think that the most similar R data class to a dictionary is actually like a factor, since it has that it has the string representation of the factor, and then like the index. But
Right.
it's not quite the same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
it's more like a nested list. Let's
yeah,
put it that way.
okay.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not,
It's not
it's not
exactly the
one
same.
to one.
Yeah,
It's not really one to one. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's very helpful. Yeah. And so yeah, I guess if you're in the world of tabular data, then this is you know less than ideal.
In
Um,
fact, if you work with NoSQL databases,
mhm.
that's basically, a modified JSON
Okay,
file.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood. I don't know a lot about NoSQL, to be honest. I know it's
Right.
it's like kind of a different paradigm.
I mean,
Um,
it's still out there, buddy. I think he had his heyday,
okay,
and
yeah,
SQL has been, what everybody knows. So
yeah,
NoSQL is kind of, you know, it's kind of a niche, thing.
yeah. Um,
At least that's my opinion.
yeah, I never learned it. I don't know what use cases it's appropriate for, really, like
Document storage. If you've
document
got plain
storage.
text
Okay.
documents that
Mhm.
don't rectangle, like you've just got big chunks of
Okay,
Right.
technical
okay,
things,
okay,
then this nested list of strings makes a lot of
okay,
sense, and you don't have to
okay,
rectangle it into SQL.
okay. Yeah.
Usually, when you need a lot of flexibility,
Hmm.
trying to get out of that structure, of rows and
Hmm.
observations, uh, and then you start looking for NoSQL. But I mean, there's ways to manage it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep, document storage sounds like a good
Yeah,
use case. Um,
yeah. Documents, images,
okay. All right. So okay.
all, all weird formats
Okay.
that are
All
fine.
right. Yes. Yes. I consider them weird.
You're
I
right.
guess some
Right.
people think they're normal. They think our thing is weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, and so this section is basically them walking through the parsing of this. Is it football? I think it's football or soccer, as we sometimes say in the United States. I think it's football. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of where I get the idea. Okay, like DuckDB is interpreting uh, the JSON files as like structs, or like nested structs, I guess. I'm still not sure if that's accurate, but um, the key takeaway, I guess, is that we do have this nice a nest function, which is where is that? Oh, here we go. A nice a nest function. And there is this cool thing. Sorry, I know where it will automatically union the JSON files. It had like the default is to union, I guess, by position, but I don't, and I haven't worked enough with JSON in R to know if that's a unique feature, but I think that's pretty cool. Like it will like automatically attempt to, like if you have a directory full of JSON, it will automatically attempt to union them, which is a handy feature.
So I think the unnesting would be familiar to people who use JSON lights from JSON. That it tries to construct a data frame from it and undoes the nesting if it can, but that's where it gets really fiddly, and I don't think does things as automatically.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still part of the tidyverse, but there used to be this package that had a nest and unnest function. I don't know if they got rid of that. I guess it's just part of tidyr.
So tidyr's nesting and unnesting does still work,
Okay.
but that's nested data frame, and I don't think
Right. Okay.
JSON Lite will give you a nested data frame. It'll try to give you a flat data frame if it can.
I see. Okay. That's helpful to know also. Okay. Yeah, because when I think of tidyr nest and unnest, I think of like list columns basically. I guess I'm stuck in the list world.
But
I
that
can't
is
get
the
out of it.
idea.
Yeah. Okay.
That is the idea, that you've got a column that now contains things that you can consider as rectangular.
Yep. So yeah, I don't know. I guess their kind of main strategy here is they're creating this view to kind of help us understand the JSON before we parse it all. So I don't know. Maybe it's worth trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. So this is a view. They're a nesting H, which here, maybe I'll try to switch over to my other thing. Let's see. I wonder if I could switch to my little notebook over here. This right? Yeah. Can you see this? This is I have the like DuckDB UI kind of like pulled up. I don't know if it's rendering. But yeah, so here they have, they're create. Oh wait, you can see it or can't see it?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they have this. So if we go all the way up here to the start of the exercise, I guess, and we're describing the I guess the schema of the JSON. I don't know. We see that it has two columns, H and A, and then so they're both these like kind of deeply, or maybe not super deeply, but somewhat nested structs. And so I guess in this case we're trying to. So first we unnest the struct just to kind of see like what is going on, I guess, in the struct. And I think these are all. Are they plays in the game? Let's see. These are
Yes, it's the shots taken.
shots taken. Okay. So yeah, so the shots taken in the game. And so yeah, so we're unnesting. And H and A, are they two different games or two different players?
I think they're the columns.
What I can read there, Cory, is that you have the ID, you
Yeah.
have the minute, and you have the result. Those are the columns.
Yeah, right,
Okay.
right.
And then everything that goes after the column are the, the rows, right?
Right, yep,
the
yep,
records.
yep, yep,
Okay.
yep.
The observations. So basically what Ornest is doing really is flattening that
Right,
nested
yeah.
JSON. So then that format can be used to put it in, in a rectangular format, in a data frame format.
Right. I'm not sure what the H&A correspond to in the kind of world of football. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, because here that we've unnested them and then union them together. I'm not sure why they're separated in the first place. But yeah, I can't find that. I don't know, I can't find
Just
it.
thinking about what it might be. So like there's a row for H and there's a row for A that might be home and away.
Oh, got a
Like the
big
home team
sports
and the away
fan.
team.
We got a big sports fan out here who knows about home and
Home
away.
and away. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's a great. Yep. That's a great guess.
Good catch.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So here they're just doing the same thing. They're creating a view from it. So I guess now it is kind of this more like it's been sort of properly unioned, I guess, like they did up there. So now it is still nested. So like when they describe this view, but it's one struct instead of two columns, each with a struct.
So the information that's in each of the H or A rows is the same sort of thing, but that separates which team you're talking about at the time. And then there's a column in there that is just H_A, which has which one am I looking at. So once you do the merge, you can still figure out which one was I looking at here.
Okay.
But otherwise, all of the data looks the same.
The same, yeah. Which is not, I guess, always the case, right? Like you were saying, like sometimes the structure might not sort of neatly map onto a tabular paradigm, I guess.
Yeah, in which case you'd probably have to do something a little bit more specific.
Yeah, you're kind of, you're cursing a little bit, probably. So let's see. And so what's going on here? And here, I'll switch back, I guess, to book. So yep, so that's what we just talked about. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'm looking at this. And so, I mean, this is a case where actually the CLI might actually be better than this UI because the output, when you use the kind of dot mode equals line output, you actually get a little easier to look at table than the one that at least the CLI, not excuse me, the UI outputs by default. Let's see. So I guess basically it's there's some fields that we think should be numeric, but they were initially they were inferred to be characters, and so they are sort of after reading in the view, they're using this cast function to convert them into numerics. Yeah. And so yeah, so now they're numeric. And there's, I think it one handy thing that I think comes up later in the chapter is there's both a cast and a try cast function, where I think I've used that where I'm like, if I'm reading in like a CSV and I think I know the column types, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll use try cast, and then instead of throwing an error, it will try and fail, and then but like fail gracefully and continue to run whatever the rest of the statement was. Yeah. So that's this kind of aside. Oh, I see. And so if it can't cast a value to the specified type, it'll just assign it a null value. Okay, so that's a pretty, that's an aggressive thing to do, I guess. But a handy feature if you have some gnarly data, maybe you find that useful. Okay, and so here we get into the nested structs into columns, which I think that's what I want. Let's see, where's the example with shots? Select. So they're taking our one. So here in this example, we're taking our one row, which contains that big struct, and then I'm a little confused about that. So if you select, okay, so I mean that's pretty cool. So this operator by itself without any other input on your end will expand the struct into the columns and into the, so that I don't know, that's handy. I could see, I'm sure it doesn't work in a lot of cases, maybe. But yeah, I mean, that's nice. I'm not sure what the sort of R equivalent of that is. But yeah, that's a nice kind of ease of use feature, I guess. But also like maybe a little, like we were saying, I think my intuition is that sometimes the syntax is too succinct. Like I think if you were reading through this, you wouldn't like, this doesn't really signal that operation to me. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to type. And like, yeah, very kind of.
I'll have to try it in a couple of JSON nested JSON files that I've been that I've encountered.
Yeah.
Because I never seen that that argument. Select row that asterisk.
Yeah,
It's kind of a shortcut. It's like a shortcut to get that structure there.
Yeah. It seems too easy.
Yeah. Too good to be true, right?
Yeah, too good to be true. And I do remember if anyone is really bored, you could always, I wonder if it still exists, this DB Quacks. I remember I over Christmas break I went through these I just did the tutorials, I didn't do the challenges, but like I think the ones in maybe like the 20s have to do with JSON. I don't know. They're some of them they're all pretty easy, but they they kind of cover like, okay, reading CSV, reading JSON. So it's a fun little website if anyone gets bored. But okay, so that's cool. Moving on. So yeah, now I mean we're just kind of querying it like we saw kind of in chapter 3 and 4, kind of using the view as a just like a table. And I guess every time we're calling this view, I think it is redoing that whole analytic process. So maybe it's not the most efficient kind of strategy, but maybe in this in this kind of exploratory mode, maybe that doesn't matter that much. We had this nice aside about machine learning for football goals. Okay, so yeah, so here's another thing. So this is useful too. And I'm trying to think of the like when this would come up. Like I think oftentimes, especially if you have a big CSV file, maybe you want to get it to Parquet just because then its footprint on your storage will be less, and sometimes like quite a bit less. And maybe you just like the kind of like stronger metadata kind of features of Parquet. I think once you get something to Parquet, you can read it.
One thing that I can tell you, Cory,
Yep.
translating the CSV to Parquet, and it's a good thing, is that the typing of each of the columns is preserved in Parquet. In CSV, it's not preserved.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that you want to, capture.
Yeah. And yeah, I think especially that. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I'd say this is a pretty common step in like an ETL pipeline of I've got a bunch of different data sources and I want to do the like consolidation step distinctly, make sure that there's no errors, and then I can work with a one like known trusted data source.
Yep. Yeah. And I think definitely if I had to choose, I think I prefer getting a Parquet to a CSV, I guess. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it is a challenge because usually if you want to take a big CSV file and turn it into a Parquet file, you maybe don't want to load the whole CSV file into memory because that's kind of maybe a computationally expensive kind of process, and especially since the Parquet is compressed, so you're loading a big file into memory to make a small file. I don't know. It seems a little kind of chicken and eggy to me. But so the DuckDB kind of provides this set of tools to handle that process. And maybe there's some technical details here. It's a columnar format. It has this predicate and projection push down. It preserves the typing, like we said, so you don't have, if I'm using one CSV reader and Jonathan's using another CSV reader and we're trading CSV files, we might one reader might make a different inference about the type than the other reader. Parquet, we don't have to worry about that. The typing is in the metadata. We're good to go. And it's faster to read too, I guess, because the reader doesn't have to make those inferences; it just knows. Here's the controversial use of disk usage, I guess, or maybe not controversial, but notable. I didn't know this about Parquet, and so this is just a little maybe note. That I didn't know that there was this row grouping kind of tension where you wanted to have, you don't want too many row groups, but you also don't want too few, because then I guess if you have too few, then you don't get the benefits of the parallel read kind of process. But if you have too many, it will be slow. So, yeah. So here's that use of that little file name equals true flag, which Jonathan had mentioned was analogous to, wait, what was it, Jonathan?
So you'd need to use IMAP to reproduce this, but I don't think any of the dplyr or per functions actually keep the name.
Okay.
You've got to do something specific to get that. Maybe IMAP does, depends.
Okay. So, that's handy. So yeah, I guess, again, they're just kind of extolling the the virtues of Parquet a little bit. Kind of, let's see, I thought this was interesting. So here, the CSV reader interpreted the date time column as a string. Oh no, excuse me, sorry, as an integer, but it really should be a date time. But it's not quite, it's not, if you just look at that number, it's not the right ISO format. So you're kind of it's a bit of a challenge. And so I guess the pattern to follow there is to the use of this strip time argument. I see. Okay, so it does this double conversion where it will cast the int to a string, and then it will pass that again, like it'll pass that argument to a function that converts it to a date time object. Oh, and I guess I see. Okay, so and the naming is because we don't care about time. We only care about date in this case. So we're stripping away the time component of the integer, I guess, up there. So that's I feel like I've actually run into that problem before, but it's nice to see kind of an easy solution there.
Just to mention a situation that I remember. When dealing with characters that are really dates, usually also you have to use the function trim, because there could be some white space those characters, and if you don't trim them, it won't work.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're banging your head to see, but why it doesn't convert to date?
Yeah.
I'm doing the right stuff, and it's because of those white spaces.
Yeah.
So take that. Maybe DuckDB internally, does it. Maybe.
But we don't
But
know.
in traditional SQL, you have to trim it, and then you can then convert it to date. So
that's a good tip. Yeah.
A good tip, real world tip.
Yeah, I've definitely had this problem before, and I think sometimes I haven't been able to solve it, but maybe that's why, because I didn't know about the white spaces.
Yep. Yep.
So the other
remember that
edge
one.
case?
Trim or any flavor on an SQL, SQL.
The other real world edge case would be that I don't see a mention of time zones here. When you're dealing with this in R, if you read stuff in, half the functions will assume you mean to read it into your time zone and will convert things, and it's horrendous. So even if you're working with dates, it's not necessarily like, where is that reference? It'd be great if everything's UTC, but that's not guaranteed.
That's a good point. And yeah, I don't remember reading anything about time zones in this chapter, but yeah, maybe it's documented, but in the so yeah, so here so basically this like sub part of this chapter is about joining two CSV files and then writing the output to a Parquet. So here they're joining the other CSV file, which I guess has the rankings, handling another date issue, and yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy in this little example. I think this is pretty typical, or nothing kind of ponderous. So right, and so now we're talking about kind of like the this problem of you know, if you're doing a big CSV file, you might run into memory issues. So you can adjust this memory limit setting, and then it will prevent you from overloading your running over your system's memory, which is good. Suddenly you can work with a CSV file that you couldn't work with before because it was too big. Or I don't know, like there used to be some R utilities. I used to use this utility called, I think, Arc, maybe not the new like Positron language server thing, but it was for just this purpose of basically like loading CSV files in chunks and then writing them out. But so now you don't have to mess with any of that. It just you just set your memory limit, and your DuckDB sort of take care of all that for you. So yeah, and I guess with Parquet, you have some control over the level of compression that you want. I think the more you compress it, the I think worse performance you'll get, but it'll take less space. And so yeah, so there, that's like, that's a data pipeline, I guess. It's in its simplest kind of form, CSV to Parquet. Okay, so the next file is like, or excuse me, the next section, and I guess we only have a couple minutes left, is just about working, just with Parquet. And I feel like DuckDB has really good Parquet support. I feel like when I'm using Parquet with DuckDB, I feel like that's kind of like what I like. That's like the first use case, like I feel like a lot of the patterns, I feel like almost like envision that you're using Parquet as your kind of storage format. And so yeah, I think it has really good Parquet support. And so we're reading back in the the Parquet file that we created. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't want to just like go through this. If anyone has any interesting comments about kind of working with Parquet, like if yeah, I haven't. I have used it. I've switched, I think, most things I do to Parquet, but I don't know that I have anything interesting to say about it. It's easy to write back and forth to like a bucket, like an object storage bucket, because it's generally smaller. I appreciate that about it. Okay, and so yeah, so because the metadata stores the Parquet schema, you can query the schema without querying the, or without loading or even querying the entire, Parquet file. You could get just the schema. So that's pretty cool, And so here's like the kind of output I guess you could get for that, and then you can read in only the values that you want. And I actually don't know. For some reason, I was looking at this the other day. I think the minimum integer size in Parquet, I think, is 8 bytes. But DuckDB has support for smaller integer sizes than that. I think DuckDB, the default integer is 4 bytes, I think. I don't know. This is just kind of a strange aside. But yeah, so yeah, I think the default integer is a 4-byte integer, and I think Parquet starts at 8. So I think that's kind of weird. I don't really, I don't know if DuckDB will, just treat everything as 8, or if it will detect if your integers are actually 4 bytes and then downgrade them to 4 bytes. But I don't know. For some reason, I had to look that up, but it is a kind of a little bit of a mismatch.
Again, Cory, if you come from Python, you get that downcasting. Okay,
yeah.
You get the integer 64 to 32
Yeah.
to 16 to 8. So that's why the parquets have that, that capability.
Okay. So
Yep.
say I load something that, say it's like the number 5 or something like that, but it's typed as a 64-bit integer. If I read it into Python, it will downcast it to I guess a 4-bit or whatever the smallest type is.
Casted. It's going to default to integer 64, the maximum.
Oh, I see.
Okay, even if it's 1 or 2, whatever.
Okay. That makes sense.
But then you can write a small script to downcast it, to the the minimum level.
Right.
That digit can exist.
Yep. And that makes sense. So I guess it's
and the minimum is integer 8.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. Because
it's to have that compatibility between a pandas data frame and Parquet.
Yep. Yes, I guess it's trying to be as compatible as possible by starting with the biggest integer size. If anyone wants to undertake this, I did not do this, but maybe a fun exercise. If you are interested in kind of in playing with these different integer sizes. Okay, so now onto SQL. Well, I don't know. Did I miss anything up here? Yeah, I don't really think so. Yeah. So SQLite, and I was less interested in this just because I feel like anything that I would use SQLite for, I would use DuckDB for now because it's better, for me. But I do think there are some things like SQLite can go on. I forget who made this comment, but at the very beginning of our book club, someone was like, "Oh, well, SQLite can run on a watch or whatever." So definitely still has some use cases. But yeah, I don't think there's anything too shocking about this section here. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is kind of the meat of the section. SQLite doesn't enforce types strongly. DuckDB enforces them strongly, and so sometimes that can lead to some issues. And I'm just, unless anyone has any SQLite sort of stories, then maybe I'll skip. And so finally, the Excel file. And so actually this, I think, is old now. And so they actually have, I wonder if, so in this example, they're using the spatial extension to load the Excel file, but I think that is actually no longer sort of the cutting edge. I think the spatial extension was kind of like coincidentally used to support reading Excel files, but so now there's a sort of a dedicated, smaller, standalone Excel reading extension. And unfortunately, I've had the pleasure of using this extension.
I'm going to remember that a lot easier than I'm going to remember the spatial thing.
yeah, because I don't know, that's a weird, that's a weird pairing, I guess. Yeah, I have used this, and one thing I have found that has given me gripes is like sometimes people will leave an empty row at the top of their Excel file, or they'll put like the title of the file, which, you know, is like
couple of
silly.
rows of just rubbish and like tables starting at row 8 and indented a couple of
they do all kinds of crazy stuff in Excel files. And I did I think like Pandas and I think Polars has a nice Excel reader where it will kind of skip that stuff, or at least as much of it as is like practical. Here, I think you do have to specify the range, which if you're, you know, want to read in a bunch of Excel files and is kind of a pain, because then you have to like open them or whatever and try to figure out where the, you know, that first, you know, 5 lines of rubbish or whatever is, and then, you know, figure out where the range is for each file. I think there might be a way around that I'm not aware of, but yeah. I mean, it's never fun to have to deal with Excel stuff. So
does that mean you need to specify the end of the like you have to know how many rows you're reading in? It's not
skip? I think so. Yeah, and I haven't found it, which is a pain too, because then you have to like, you can't. It won't just like stop reading at the last sort of filled row and column. It will, you know, I think it will keep going. So that's like potentially, you know, I don't know what the maximum size of an Excel file is, but it's, and you know, it's not huge, but it's like, you know, usually they're much smaller than the maximum size.
A couple of million.
Yeah. So I think you do have to specify the full range. I could be wrong about
a million rows.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that's a lot of wasted reading if your Excel file is like 20 by 5, you know, table, which I think they often are.
The other thing I'd be interested in, and I'm sure it's all worked out, is Excel has a 1-to-1 bug with Lotus. That the date counter is off by 1 from the unit keyboard.
Oh, that's terrible.
I've been bitten by it a few times, like trying to convert it to R and comparing things. But yeah, I wonder how it does that for reading.
Yeah, that's a good. And yeah, I mean, I think this has been a fun session, for me, just to hear everybody's kind of weird data cleaning stories about, you know, I feel like we all encounter these like really weird edge cases all the time that, you know, can be quite frustrating. So I did appreciate hearing everyone's stories there. And here, unless anyone has any comments, I will stop the chat, or stop the video. Yeah. So I figure out how. Okay,